Hello and welcome back to the Broadrun podcast, episode 21 on 5-minute shoe reviews. Today we're going to be talking about the Adios Adizero Pro 3. So this is Adidas's marathon carbon racing shoe. So this is where I'm just going to give you my suggestions, what I think of the shoe, how it's been performing so far. I've used the shoe for about 150, 175 kilometers, there or thereabouts. And just to say why it's maybe your shoe for your next marathon or half marathon. So just to give a quick overview, like I said, it is one of Adidas's elite racing shoes. Obviously, they do have a shoe above this, which is the Adizero Pro, the Pro Evo, which is probably for most runners out of the budget, around $250. So this is probably the one that's most readily available and accessible to everyone. This shoe is a full carbon racing shoe. As you can see on the bottom here, it does have the Carbon Energy Rods 2.0, which is the sort of level up from what they had in the last version of this shoe. Now, I did have the last version of this shoe, but I do feel that this is a bit of an upgrade. And I would say the most sort of pertinent point for this shoe is definitely the comfort. I feel like, especially in the toe box, for someone with wide toes, they've really nailed it in this sort of area here. I don't feel like my shoes are getting cramped across like I have been with, like, say, for example, a Nike Vaporfly. And yeah, and in terms of sort of energy return, I've done a few races in these, and I find like they are sort of good in terms of what sort of spring in the step I'm feeling. You can see that they've got the Lightstrike Pro right throughout the full shoe, which is obviously the lightest and fastest foam, which I should show in the last video of the Adizero SL. So if you want to check out the SL2, then you can obviously check in that. So yeah, it's, it is a sort of shoe built for, your faster runner, a 4-foot striker, somebody who's sort of really going to be pushing the pace. That being said, for someone sort of mid-pack, you're not going to not feel that energy return of the energy rods. It's definitely one, worthwhile to check out. I will say this is like quite a breathable shoe. Obviously, training out here in Dubai, something that like means a lot to me is how much it sort of dissipates heat. And I found, this sort of breathable shoe has been pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with that. One of the problems I did see with the last iteration of this was this heel. I found that the heel was maybe sometimes slipping, but it looks like they've sort of adjusted this with little, cushions at the back, which sort of keeps your heel locked in. These are a fairly light shoe, lighter than last iteration, so they're 213 grams. You'll see that they've had these funky little sort of, now I think we class them as like Adidas trademarks, where they've sort of cut out certain parts of the midsole, which obviously does reduce the weight and doesn't really change anything for the performance, because nobody's really landing in that part of the shoe. So the heel stack height is pretty much the same. As you can see, stamped on the back, 39. With an 8.5mm drop, which is fairly standard for most super shoes, which does make it a race legal shoe, unlike the Prime X, which sits at about 50mm. So, it's good to have a legal shoe. And I will say that actually, having ran in the Prime X and the Prime X2 now, which is obviously 10mm more, I do actually feel that these are probably a better racing shoe, and you're not actually probably getting much more out of racing in the Prime X. So this is normally, now you'll see that the Pro 4 is on the way. So, this typically retails anywhere between like $200 and $250, depending on where you get it from. But you will see the prices of these slowly start to drop, especially as the 4 comes out, which is pretty competitive. I mean, most of the brands now are doing around that for the shoe. So yeah, it's definitely one to check out, and one that I'm definitely going to keep using. So at the minute, I'm currently lined up to do marathons come the cooler season here. And I think, unless I'm blown away by any other shoes, I think this is ones that I'll definitely be considering for the race on the start. One thing that I didn't mention there is obviously it's got its traditional Adidas Continental grip. Now, where I've been running, it's not really been much of a problem, so it's not like I've got any issues with the grip, but something to mention. But yeah, definitely a strong shoe and a contender for race season. Obviously, this is 5-minute shoe reviews where we just touch on the basics of each of the shoe and hopefully you get something out of it. So Stay tuned for the next one, and thanks very much for watching.